All right, I would like to welcome everyone to this session of the Board of Zoning Appeals for the City of Richmond for June 11th, 2020. And would you please call the roll?
Sarah Salazar.
Here.
Sherry Harlan Davis.
Here.
Aaron Roberts.
Here.
Joe Green.
Here.
Jeff Cook.
Here.
All right. And at this time, will we please say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. At this time, since we do not have meeting minutes to approve from our last meeting, we will go to the proof of publication.
Thank you. This notice was published in advance. It states the time, date, place, and the item on the agenda for this hearing tonight. This notice is in order to hold this public hearing, and I would ask the board make a motion to accept this proof of publication.
We've heard the proof of publication. I would hear a motion, or if we have any questions or corrections.
So moved.
Have the motion and a second. All in favor of approving proof of publication as it stands, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we will move on to old business. That would be BZA 14-2020 would be the petition of Mr. Larry Twine Jr. as the owner and agent, requesting a special exception to allow a type 2 home business in the UR district at the address of 213 South 10th Street. If the petitioner could please tell us a little bit about your petition.
Yes, I was just wanting to try to start a business up in the old neighborhood that I grew up in. You know, I figured that, since I grew up there and I could give something back to the neighborhood as far as, making the kids feel good about themselves and just, just the whole environment. I figured I could probably help out with that and maybe change people's lives. Maybe someday, one of the kids may grow up one day and say, well, hey, I want to be like Larry and start up their own business. I mean, if I can just reach one of the kids, that would be good enough for me. That's a start.
Okay. All right. I would have any questions from the board to the petitioners at this time?
I don't know the rules. Are we allowed to ask what sort of business this is, or?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's my question.
A barber shop.
Oh.
I'm sorry if I forgot to say that.
That's okay.
And the barbershop will be in your home, correct?
Correct. It's separated by some doors where it usually is my daughter's old bedroom, but it is separated by doors. It will be,
Okay.
It's my house.
Okay. And how many clients are you expecting to be serving? I see in our report we had about 2 or 3 at any given time, but does that sound correct?
Yes, sir. That's right. The room is really not that big. It will probably only hold two people at a time. 3 counting me. I got a bench on one side, a bench on the other. So I'm trying not to have it overcrowded. People running in and out. Basically, go by appointment only. You call me, you schedule an appointment at 9, then give me about an hour for the next one, then about 10. Just kind of keep it separated like that so we don't have that many people in, especially for, the COVID going on. I don't want a whole bunch of people in there at one time. It's safety reasons.
Okay. Do we have any other questions to the petitioner?
Yes, I have a question. Will you have a separate entrance from your main house?
Yes, there is. I also built a separate entrance going into the barbershop. When you walk onto my porch, you would turn left and there's another deck off the porch that we just built, which you can go in and enter that barbershop in through the side door. Yes, ma'am, separate entrance.
Okay.
Any other questions that the board would have? I have a question. Now, is this going to be advertised in any way with any signage?
So what was that last part?
Will it be advertised anyway with any like signs or signage outside?
Well, I will have a barber parlor pole, but as far as advertisement, after everything is set up and done and ready, I was going to actually call Palladium Item and see if they would come do some kind of, little article on me for, starting a barbershop in the neighborhood I grew up in. And, that would get some kind of advertisement, but I will have a barber pole and, let you know that there is a barber shop located at that address.
Okay. And I guess what about parking? Now you said there's going to be 2 or 3. Is there ample parking maybe in front of or behind the home that would be used?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yes, sir. Like I said, there shouldn't be that many at a time. You can park in the front, and there's plenty of parking in the front, and then also where a house had been tore down next door to me. So I claimed half of that land, and the neighbors, of course, claimed the other half of that. So there's an alley you can go through where you can just pull up in my lot as well if it gets that crowded. But I don't plan on it being that crowded if I can control that.
Okay. Are there any other questions to the petitioner at this time?
I do think if parking's an issue, isn't there a public parking lot fairly close to there near where the United Way is?
United Way. Are we at South District Park?
Yeah. You know where I mean, Sherry, right?
Yes.
That's public parking, isn't it?
By the church. Right by the church. The United Way is in front of the old Dixon Dance Studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is a parking place right there, but I don't know that. Like say you would have parked way over there and then have to walk, because I'm like catty corner from there. Like I said, there should be plenty of parking in the front. If not, they can use my back, pull in an entrance. The deck's right there also. Like I say, I don't plan on having that many people in there at one time.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions from the board to the petitioner at this time?
I do not have any.
No.
Mr. Cook?
No.
All right. At this time, we'll open the floor for public hearing. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of the current petition, if you could please give your name and address and let us know why you're speaking in favor of the current petition.
So I am, hi there. I am Eric Mejia. I'm talking on behalf of Berenice Dayton. She's actually the owner of, I think, the parcel, right?
Yeah, the next door.
Yeah, next door to the parcel that the petition is trying to, like, of course, have his own barbershop. And pretty much what we're here for is to be in favor of it. Of course, as long as as long as we're able to see what the parking situation is going to be, if there's going to be any way that we can at least split up half of the land, because in between the houses is of course that big area, right? And we're trying to see if, could we put up a fence or something so that way we're not taking any of your space, and then I think the last thing would be to also look into, just seeing if you can set up as at least a set business hours, so then that way we can make sure that we have our own parking spot.
Sure.
But otherwise, we're in favor of it, and I hope that it goes well.
If I could, Mr. Twine, could you kind of specify? I think this is something I kind of glossed over. Could you kind of specify what the business operating hours would be?
Yeah, business operating hours will be from 9 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday, closed on Sunday and Monday.
Okay.
And I'm sure we could work out as far as parking arrangements, because I wouldn't want anybody to be parking on their lot as well as I don't mind them on mine. We could maybe figure out some kind of barrier we need to put down there. But I can assure if I'm running the operation by appointment only, then that's what I'm going to stick with.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor of the current petition? All right, we'll move on. Is there anyone present who would like to speak against the current petition? Please state your name, give your address. Okay, hearing none. We will close public hearing and we will hear from the planning staff at this time.
Thank you. This is petition number BZA 14-2020. The petition of Larry Twine Jr. is the owner and the agent, requesting approval of a special exception to allow a type 2 home business in the urban residential or UR district located at 213 South 10th Street. The zoning of the property is UR and it lies within the neighborhood transition overlay district, and the use of the lot is residential. Adjoining zoning to the north is UR, to the south is UR, to the east is UR, and to the west is PR and UR. We notified 7 adjacent property owners and received 1 response from Lisa Browning at 216 South 10th Street, who stated that she's in favor of the petition. We received 1 email written petition from our visitors, Eric Magia and Berenice Gayton at 205 South 10th Street. And would you like me to repeat your comments? Sure. Okay. Who stated this email is to confirm that we've received a notice from the Richmond Board of Zoning Appeals about a public hearing that will be held on Thursday, June 11th, 2020 at 7 p.m. This notice wants us to confirm whether we are in favor or opposed to the petition and list our reasons. As an owner of the property adjacent to the parcel involved in this petition, we have certain conditions, requests, and reasons in order to be in favor of the petition. In other words, we will be in favor of the petition if Larry Twine Jr. puts up a fence to separate his property from mine. This will provide privacy and the security of my family and kids. Larry Twine Jr. can build his own business parking or customer parking on his property so Mr. Twine's clients do not take away parking from other residents. The block has few parking spaces, and if the clients are taking up parking, this will create issues with other residents in the long run. And Larry Twine Jr. can create set business hours. If these requests and conditions are met, then I will be in favor of the petition. Please reply back to this email if you have received it. I will appreciate it very much. And we received 1 response, return to sender from 208 South 11th Street from a vacant house. The proposed special exception would allow for a type 2 home business, a low volume barbershop to operate in the urban residential district. The planning staff consulted with all city departments and utilities to determine any objections based on public health and safety. The Richmond Police Department's Traffic Division expressed concern about the parking around 10th Street Park, as there are many multifamily homes in the area, and 10th Street is a one-way street on both sides, only allowing for parking on one side of the street. They stated that this could cause parking complaints for neighbors, and if the parking situation becomes bad enough, neighbors could potentially start applying for more handicapped parking permits. Traffic did not feel that this should necessarily be a reason to deny the request, but did want to note that there may be issues with neighbors in the future. Staff recommendation is for approval based on these findings of fact for the special exception at 213 South 10th Street. The special exception is consistent with the purpose of the zoning district and the Richmond Comprehensive Plan because The home business will not generate offensive noise, vehicular traffic in greater volumes than would normally be expected in the UR district, as the size of the shop will likely only allow 2 or 3 customers at any given time, and the hours of operation will not interfere with the use and enjoyment of adjacent residential properties or park events. The special exception will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community because this proposal will not compromise public health, safety, morals, or general welfare, as it is consistent with the parking arrangements on nearby properties. The entrance of the business will be located on the north side of the home, which will not interfere with existing homes in the surrounding neighborhood. The special exception is in harmony with all adjacent land uses because the proposal will conform to all other Unified Development Ordinance codes. The physical appearance will be the same with all existing homes in the surrounding neighborhood, and there will be no major construction involved. The special exception will not alter the character of the district because the home will remain the same in character and status as other existing homes in the neighborhood. The home business will be secondary to the use of the dwelling unit as a residence. And the special exception will not adversely impact property value because the property's value will improve by adding a wraparound deck off the existing porch to the entrance of the barber shop. And there were no written commitments at this time.
Thank you. Now at this time, I would ask, are there any questions from the board to the planning staff?
I have none.
No.
Okay.
And I would just like to note as a kind of a side thing that because Mr. Twine has obtained the property or a portion of the parcel directly to the north of him where there was a house that was torn down through the blight program, there is room to kind of expand his parking in the rear of the property if you would like to, and also if that's something the board wanted to have as a written commitment.
Okay. I was also, in addition to that, would that include the fence or just the annex of the property for parking would be sufficient?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I think because fences are permitted to be built on the property line, per our zoning code, I think there would be plenty of room for both parking and for the fence. And our parking code is that any spaces need to be 9 feet wide by 18 feet long. And I think his existing parking is kind of right in the middle of the parcel he's at. So I think he would easily have enough room for 1 space and possibly even 2 if that was something that was desirable.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions to the planning staff on the board at this time? Hearing none, I would hear a motion for BZA 14-2020.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve BZA 14-2020 with a written commitment on he'd be willing to put a fence up on the property line.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. I would like to hear from the petitioner. Would that be acceptable? Something that.
Yes. And Mr. Klein, if it's okay, pretty much what she's agreeing to is at least helping you pay half of the expenses to building like a fence. So that way. Yeah, so that way we can, of course, not have problems in the long run, and then that way you guys have your clients on one side, and we can at least have our privacy on the other.
Yeah, I understand that. You won't have to worry about my clients coming over on your lot. You don't have to worry about that at all. I mean, I have friends over. They don't come over now, right?
And no, porque está que todos nosotros.
So I mean, I really can't afford it. It's enough everything I've done so far. It's going to just postpone my, start date when I want to start. I mean, we could just work together and see how it's going to be, and then if it does get better, then we can, make other arrangements with that if that's okay. But I can assure you, though, I'll take care of what goes on my side of the property.
Mr. Twine?
Yes.
Is that acceptable for using the parcel for parking as if it's needed?
If it's, if what I was just telling them that, I mean, I think we should wait and see how it's going to go at first, because I assure you, and I keep saying this, that the clients that's going to come to my house is going to be able to park in front of my house anyway. They probably want to use the back of the lot for parking, because like I said, it's going to be one or two at a time. And there's plenty of room in front of my house to put 2 cars in there. So, I mean, that's what I'm leaning toward. It probably won't even have to worry about going on the north side park. It'll be all up front.
Okay. So, Matt, or could you kind of specify for everyone, what would that mean for the written commitment?
For the written commitment.
Yeah, there was a motion and a second on the table for the written commitment to build a fence. So I
Guess
guess,
they need another motion if that was to be modified.
Can I just withdraw my motion and make a new
Yes.
motion?
yes,
I would like to withdraw my original motion, and seeing how he has business hours of 9 to 5, only expecting appointment only, using the front parking, I would like to go ahead and make a motion to approve BZA 14-2020 on finding the facts.
Second.
I'll second that one too.
Okay, I have a motion and a second of approving BCA 14-2020 based on finding of fact without written commitments. Will you please call the roll?
Edward Salazar,
Aye.
Sherry Harlan Davis,
Aye.
Aaron Roberts,
Aye.
Joe Green,
Aye.
Jeff Cook.
Aye.
And with that, BZA 14-2020 passes. Good luck, sir.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Now, if I don't have any other business, I would hear a motion for adjournment for this meeting. Before that, I will let everyone know that the June BZA hearing, the filing deadline for that was May 14th. We're going to have the July BZA hearing on Thursday, July the 9th, and the filing deadline for that was today, June the 11th. And with that, I would hear a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
thank you
Take
all.
care.